Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Kogan. Drip.
Snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read word for word from the Naughty Dog blog what they posted up yesterday. An update on The Last of Us Online. We realize many of you have been anticipating news around the project that we've been calling The Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We made the incredibly difficult decision to stop development on the game. We know this news will be tough for many, especially dedicated Last of Us factions community, who have been following our multiplayer ambitions ardently. We're equally crushed at the studio. We're looking forward to putting this in your hands. We wanted to share with you some background on how we came to this decision. The multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we were working on The Last of Us Part 2, crafting an experience we felt was unique and had tremendous potential. By the way, already he's lied. So I'm going to continue on and tell you the truth because we already know the truth. He's changing history here to make it sound different. By the way, this is Neil Druckmann writing this. Even if you can't tell, it doesn't say Neil Druckmann on it. He totally wrote this post. As the multiplayer team iterated on their concept for The Last of Us Online during this time, their vision crystallized, the gameplay got more refined and satisfying, and we were enthusiastic about the direction in which we were headed. In ramping up to full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we would have to put all of our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. We are immensely proud of everyone at the studio that touched this project. The learnings and investments in technology from this game will carry into how we develop our projects and will be invaluable in the direction that we are headed as a studio. We have more than one ambitious brand new single-player game that we're working on here at Naughty Dog, and we cannot wait to share more about what comes next when we're ready. Until then, we're incredibly thankful for our community and your support throughout the years. Okay? So again, he didn't sign it, but you can 100% tell just from the mannerisms and the way it's written. Neil Druckmann wrote that. If you don't know, Neil Druckmann is the head of Naughty Dog right now. Okay? Bullshit. That entire story is bullshit. The facts don't align with what he says in his post. Allow me to remind you of the facts of what this is. So, The Last of Us Online actually is called The Last of Us Factions. This was supposed to be the multiplayer mode included as part of the purchase price of The Last of Us 2. But did you forget about that? You probably did, because Naughty Dog has changed the narrative of this game so many times over the years to make you forget so they don't look bad. Alright? When The Last of Us 1 released, it was arguably the best narrative-based experience on the PlayStation 3, plus it had an online mode. The online mode was incredibly unique. It was purely stealth-based. Never before had you really played an online third-person game with action, but it was stealth. Sneak up from behind your opponents, take them out with takedowns or shoot them from the side. You know, have one person distract them while the other person sneaks around and gets them. It was a really fun game, and it was so unique. People were calling for more, but they never gave it. They never made any more of that. It was just essentially what came with the first game is what you got. But when they were making The Last of Us 2, they promised that they were going to have another online mode. It was going to be called Last of Us Factions, and it was going to be included as part of the price tag of the game. This was 100% all documented. It's all over the internet. All the news stories covered it. This is what Naughty Dog was saying the game was going to be. You're going to get your single-player campaign, just like Last of Us 1, and then you're going to get your multiplayer. It's all part of the same retail package, okay? All of a sudden, okay, only a few months before the scheduled release of The Last of Us 2, Naughty Dog, Neil Druckmann, came out and said, so we have an update for everyone, okay? We want to let you know that Last of Us 2's narrative mode, the one that you really care about, is about ready to go. We're very excited. We love this game. We're proud of it. We want to put it out. But the online just isn't ready yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to ask for your buy-in that hopefully you will buy this game and still play it with the promise that in the future, we're going to provide you for free a downloadable update of The Last of Us Factions. So you're going to get the multiplayer later. Buy the full game now for full retail price, and we promise you that somewhere down the line, you will get the multiplayer. Okay? Again, This was 100% promised. It's in writing. It's all over the internet. You could find it from years ago. But it's funny, no one talks about it as if it never happened. Like everyone forgot. Like we all had our mind wiped. The Men in Black came and flashed us. And we suddenly forgot that this was all promised and supposed to be included with the money we paid to play Last of Us 2. Because the entire time I was playing Last of Us 2, all right, I didn't really like the story. I liked the gameplay elements. I liked the graphics. I hated the story. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, well, even if I don't like the end of this, at least the multiplayer's coming, right? And I loved the multiplayer of The Last of Us 1. So The Last of Us 2 comes out, and what happens? The entire game blows up on the internet. Drama about, oh, it's too progressive. It's got leftist overtones. Neil Druckmann's trying to push his agendas down everyone's throat. On the flip side of that, Neil Druckmann turns it into a pro-progressive campaign. A buy of The Last of Us 2 is a strike against these bigoted haters, these prejudiced people on the internet. Every person who hates this game is a bigot and a prejudiced asshole. So buy the game for the cause of good. He literally said that. He even said that year, vote for The Last of Us 2 at the Game Awards, because a vote for the game is a vote against the haters. Then he had to remove all his social media posts about it because he looked like an asshole. But he had already said it. Okay? So basically, all this stuff goes on. And what ends up happening is the game sells like crazy and it becomes Game of the Year because the journalists love progressive themes in video games. So the game gets Game of the Year despite the fact the story's actually fucking horribly written and atrociously executed. It's one of the most convoluted, poorly paced, poorly timed stories I've ever seen in my life. Starting in the middle, going back, going forward, going back. It's confusing as fuck. The game sucks. Story-wise. Gameplay-wise, graphics-wise, I loved it. Story elements were absolutely atrociously horrible. The whole game is like torture porn, okay? It's trash. It's trash for fucking weak-minded people who think that that kind of drivel is good. Oh, so it has violence and serious tones? It must be a great game. It's not, at least in my opinion. You could disagree. A lot of people do disagree with me. My opinion, it's one of the worst stories ever written, okay? So the game comes out, all this controversy, all this shit, okay? All of a sudden, you hear an announcement the next year. So what happened to the multiplayer? Where's Last of Us Factions? Oh, we have an update. There's no more Last of Us Factions. The Last of Us Factions has now expanded upon our original scope and vision. We've decided that now it's going to be called The Last of Us Online, and it's going to be our own game. Now listen, we know we had promised to you that you were going to get this Factions for free as part of if you bought the original Last of Us 2 game, but you have to, as a fan of ours, you have to give us the benefit of the doubt. We are doing the right thing. Rather than give you a half-finished, not really well-done multiplayer or just a tack-on mode, we want to make this a fully fledged online experience. Therefore, it's going to be its own game. And we know we promised you were going to get it for free, but now it's going to be its own thing you have to buy. We hope that you'll believe in us. We hope that you will come and play it later on. And of course, the more and more you hear about it, okay, you start hearing things such as live service, right? Incremental updates, all right? All the things that people don't want. You know, remember when Avengers came out and crashed as a live service game? So what ends up happening is Druckmann, in all his wisdom, thinks he sees dollar signs. And he's like, we can actually make The Last of Us Online a huge revenue boost for us. What we'll do is we'll have this never-ending online game, much like GTA Online, or much like all these other games that were planned to come out. And this is going to be our cash cow forever. People will keep buying microtransactions for seasonal outfits and little incremental updates and shit like that because they're dumb, right? So we're going to get everyone with this shit, right? We're going to get them. But then what happens? As they're developing this Last of Us Online game, which, by the way, should have been free to begin with, they lied about that. Now, all the live service games are tanking, right? Games like Avengers launch and fail. Entire other games that were going to be based on live service, like Gotham Knights, have to change their formulas because they realize they're not going to sell. No one wants live service games. The live service games are now losing their player base. In fact, the only one that's really doing well is GTA Online and arguably Fortnite, which really isn't as much of a live service as it is a viral meme for youngsters. So it's a little different, right? So basically, promise the world it'll be a free game just like in the first game. It's going to be a free mode. Well, we can't get it out for launch, but we promise you it's coming out. Oh, now it's not coming out at all is what we promised. It's going to be a standalone game you have to buy with a live service thing, but trust us, we know what we're doing. If you like Last of Us 2, our rabid fan base, you're going to want Last of Us Online, right? So now here we are years later. Oh, by the way, it's canceled. Now, wait a minute. I paid $60 like everybody else years ago. That $60, some of that money was supposed to go towards an online mode. And at first you told us it was coming later. Then you told us you were putting your efforts into a standalone game that was going to be amazing. So, all right, I believed you then. I believed you again. I believed you once. And like they say, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, well, shame on you. Try to fool me a third time, well, I'm not going to get fooled again. And that's exactly what they're trying to pull here. Lie after lie after lie about this online mode. What happened was, they want to make their player base so gullible that they're basically like an indoctrinated group of fans who will just buy and consume no matter what it is that they put out. They'll put out a TV show of the game. You're going to buy and consume and vote that that's going to be the best game adaptation of the year. And, you know, as long as it has these progressive themes, right? Because you feel like a positive hero when you vote for The Last of Us because it's so progressive, bro. Right? Not that it's a good game or it's a good show, but it's progressive. And we should all just vote for progressive themes now in the modern era. It makes you feel good. When in reality, these politics should have nothing to fucking do with these video games at all. And this is just him imposing this bullshit onto people. And that's how he's getting by. He's getting by fooling people into feeling good about spending their money on Naughty Dog. That's called brainwashing. That's like cult-like mentality behavior. That's what he's doing. It's the cult of Druckmann at this point. Okay? So the hilarious part about this is, this was announced yesterday. It's canceled. No one's up in a tizzy about this. That Last of Us Factions is canceled, or Last of Us Online is canceled. And say, oh, well, at least as long as they're making another better game. Wait, what? You're owed this game. You bought it. You paid money to Naughty Dog to have this already, and you don't have it now. And now they've canceled it outright, and you're just okay with it because you want to spend more money on the next game. Are you a fucking idiot? How dumb can you be? Hey, I got one for you. If you mail Neil Druckmann $20 right now in an envelope, he'll come to your house and deliver a fucking sandwich to you in person. Oops, he canceled that offer, but thanks for the $20. You just buy our new game afterwards, right? But what are you talking about? How do you foolishly believe this nonsense and give him a pass over and over and over and over? I don't get it. I just don't understand as consumers how you could think that this guy is on the level on anything and why you would continuously support his effort to do anything. This guy is a charlatan. He's a fucking con man. And he's been fooling millions of people all over the world with this shit, and he's continuing to do it. So now we're just supposed to be okay with no online game ever. Why did the online game get canceled? Because games as a service flopped. That's the only reason. This should have been a standalone expansion to Last of Us 2 for free as promised. Druckmann was the one who made the decision in his own studio to make its own game. He was the one who wanted to make money and milk his player base. Not us. We just wanted the mode we were promised and paid for. He ripped us off, and then he canceled the game when he couldn't see dollar signs coming out of it. Fuck you, Neil Druckmann, you greedy fuck. You're a scumbag. The way you're acting, you are a fucking scumbag. You have ripped everyone off. And you're not going to hear a lot of people complaining because you indoctrinated them into your fucking group of brainwashed people who think everything you do is above reproach. It's nonsense. This guy's crazy how he's behaving, and everyone just fucking lets it go. Oh, well. No, he owes you an online game. 100%. If not, if he's canceling The Last of Us Online, he has to go back and provide The Last of Us Factions as promised. It's one or the other. You can't just say, I canceled the whole thing so we can make more things for you to buy. You're fucking stupid if you think that's okay. It's not okay. Anyway, that's my take. You can disagree. And go ahead and disagree as much as you want. But I'm sorry. I call it like it is. How is it that everyone just forgets this shit? There's no... Oh, I forgot that was even supposed to be. Why did you forget? You were owed it. Right? Exactly. Bookworm says he doesn't care. He's got a TV show now, too. You're absolutely right. He's got his TV show that just got voted best TV adaptation of a game, which wasn't. The TV show dramatically changed critical elements of the game. It had episodes that had nothing to do with the plot of the game that were only in there for progressive purposes, which again, I liked those episodes. That episode that shows, I forgot his name, the character who's just a supporting character in Last of Us 1 gets his own episode where it shows how he fell in love with another man and they had a romantic relationship in the apocalypse. There was nothing wrong with that episode. It was well written, well directed, and I actually really enjoyed it, but it has nothing to do with The Last of Us 1. It was just shoved in there to try to get these votes from progressives to say that his show is the best show of the year. Right? I said it as much when I reviewed the show earlier this year. That could have been its own standalone spin-off or movie. It didn't have to be in the show, but instead he drops critical plot points and elements, and there's barely any zombies in the fucking show, cordyceps creatures, because he has to waste time on that shit. You know? That's the best game adaptation of the year, the one that skips half the great parts of the game. That's the best game adaptation of the year. No, the journalists voted for it because, again, it's the cult of Druckmann. They all just believe this shit. They're out of their minds. They think that this is the best content because it's progressive. Politics should not dictate quality of a game or quality of a show or quality of anything. I don't care what your fucking politics are. Anyone of any political stature should be able to play a game and enjoy it. That's the point. Is that it's supposed to unplug you from real life and put you into a fantasy situation where those politics or religion or real life occurrences outside don't affect the game so you can enjoy a fantasy setting. And that's the key elements of a good entertaining game. Unplugging from reality. Not, oh, you took your realistic politics and superimposed them into my gameplay experience and now it's game of the year because of that. You're out of your fucking mind. I've had enough of this shit. Okay. Well, I've now ranted and raved, and that's the game news for today.
I got the drip going. 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 It's like a faucet that's dripping. You can't make it stop. So what do you want me to do? Have a mute button that every second I'm tapping the mute button just in case I'm gonna have to clear? Like, this is what I mean, these dumb kids. This is what it is, it's dumb kids.